Alright, so that's probably the extent of the EDM that you're going to get from me. I don't know, I've been getting into deadmau5 lately. I finally have the home theater completely done, and so what I thought I'd do is take you through the finished product. Of course, with any electronic device or any electronic thing like a computer or home theater or Blu-ray or 4K or whatever it is, will constantly be evolving, constantly be changing things. So I'm going to take you through every piece and why I chose what I chose, and what roughly the cost of the stuff is, so you get an idea. The main powerhouse behind the entire home theater is the Marantz AV8802A. This is a preamp only, so most of you guys that aren't super home theater nerds like I am, and I don't even know that I'd call myself an expert anymore. I'm just I guess a DIYer is about the extent of my skill set or my knowledge base, but I know enough to be dangerous. But this is a preamp, so everything comes into here and then switches out to the TV or wherever else to the amplifiers, wherever the signal needs to go. So preamp in, copper chassis. I always prefer Japanese processors rather than some high-end American version or some high-end British version, simply because they work with content protection, current HDMI formats, upgradability, software updates, things like firmware updates. This thing is state-of-the-art. So Marantz, I don't like the user interface as much on Marantz as I do, say, Yamaha. I do like it more than Denon. But this one gets the job done and does a really good job at audio quality, and so this is the main unit. So the TV connects to the WebOS on the TV on the LG 65 E series connects to the Marantz preamp. Also, we have Samsung Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray comes out, connects to the preamp, and then the Xfinity or Comcast cable box. Unfortunately, I have Comcast here. Also connects to the Marantz. The next component or next thing, which will probably be the first thing I replace. I'm not a huge fan. It's slow and clunky, but at the time it was really the only 4K player. That, and I guess the Philips was brand new, but this was the best. Now Oppo's come out with a replacement that I'll probably get at some point, but I mean, there's no real need to. I mean, it's really hard for me to, other than the operating or the user experience, to tell a difference in audio or video quality from a player. So the Samsung 4K player does the job. And then I have a Furman linear power conditioner. I didn't go crazy on this, but it's still expensive. This is the Elite 20. I chose Furman. They seem to be state-of-the-art. Monster's not really in this game anymore, even if they were. Furman's superior. So all of my power conditioning, this is also surge protection. Everything runs through here. The TV, the amplifiers, the preamp, and everything that's in here runs through the Furman, which then distributes power out to everything else. So from here, I have all balanced. So balanced XLR connections go from the Marantz over to the amplifiers. I wanted to do Emotiva, but they just, Emotiva is awesome for the money. I didn't really want to do some crazy high-end amp. In the world of amplifiers, I mean, you can get crazy. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to have, because the Revel center and fronts have 8-inch drivers, I wanted to be sure that I got decent amount of power to them. So we have dual 8s, single 4-inch mid-range, and then the 1-inch aluminum tweeter. I wanted to be sure I got tons of power. They are bi-ampable or bi-wireable, so these are bi-amped. I'm using all Blue Jeans cable, and so this is a 7-channel, and so I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those 14 channels on the 3 front speakers. So the 3 front speakers are getting the same power output. I understand that this cabinet is going to affect the acoustics of the center channel, but not enough for me to really get too bent out of shape. I like the look of this cabinet. It is one of my favorite pieces of furniture that I owned, at my previous house, and I wanted it in here. So the display is a 65-inch OLED LG. So this is the E series. So there's the Signature series, the E series, and then there's the Curved, which is the C, and then the B. And so this is the E6, the 2016-17 version. I guess it's a 2016 version. I had this in my main living room. I bought this because I needed to replace my Panasonic plasma, my GT350, because it was a half an inch too big to fit in that giant cabinet I have in my living room. And so I needed to get something that was, a replacement. And of course, if you plasma guys, you get it. That LCD just doesn't meet the standard. The new Sony Z6, which I did go and see at Best Buy, is pretty legit. I'm not sure how they're doing it. I haven't done a whole lot of research into the technology and how they're actually making the first LCD look decent. But this, I still think, I prefer a darker, less bright image. I want it to look like I'm looking out the window. I don't want it to look fake. And so I prefer black level rather than worry about light output. And so LG has the first technology, first display that, in my opinion, beats the previous Pioneer Kuro, and then the Pioneer Kuro technology that transitioned to Panasonic, and the deep encased cell structure of the last gen of plasma. Of course, the deficiencies of plasmas were easy burn in, and which I never had an issue burning in. We also had issues with power consumption and heat, stuff like that. So this one is certainly not necessary. I don't watch 3D. I do watch 4K, but really the main difference between this, the sound bar's turned off. I actually try to remove it. You really can't remove it. It doesn't look finished. There you can see all kinds of plastic pieces. But the sound bar, so the sound is pretty decent on this TV if you had a room where you couldn't do a some sort of audio system or didn't care to. But the B series is what I have in my living room, and I don't notice any detectable difference in picture quality. Spec wise, there really is no difference from top down all the way from their whatever their what's it called, the G series or the Signature series. From what I can tell, I think it's a different anti-glare glass on the front, and the sound again is superior to this. But I mean, in here, who cares about that? And so the display is 65. The most common comment, and probably the most common comment on this video, will be, why so small? It looks so small on this wall. In the room, it doesn't look small. I mean, I'm using a wide-angle lens here. I'm at like 12 or 13 millimeters right now on the camera. I mean, just look at versus me. I'm 6'2", and the display is pretty massive. I mean, it's a 65-inch display. Would I rather have an 80 or 90? Yes. Will I probably get one someday as prices come down? Yes. Will I do a projector? No. I'm not a fan of projectors. I didn't want to take the extra measures. I didn't want to spend the extra money. I just prefer a direct display. So why would I do a projector on even a great Stuart Greyhawk or Firehawk, or I know there are new screens out now that are even better that really do a good job at reflecting the image. But then I feel like I need an anamorphic lens. I need a 3-chip DLP. I need I need a quality projector, and I mean, you're talking $25,000 and then a $3,000-4,000 screen. I'm not there. I didn't want that. I didn't want to spend the money on that, and especially since I don't prefer it. So that's I hope you respect that. I don't dislike or say that anybody who has a projector, it doesn't really matter to me if you do. I just didn't want one. I didn't want to take all the extra measures to do it, and when I prefer a regular display. And so in here, when you're sitting in the room, I think it does what I want it to do, and it's a comfortable size for me. Speakers I chose, these are Revel Performa 3 So it's a performance series. So Rebel's the manufacturer, which is a Harman company or a Harman line. Harman owns pretty much the entire industry now. I've never really, Rebels, I believe, I don't know much about them, but I think it's a newer company. And I was going to do some compression drivers. I was going to do highly sensitive, very efficient compression drivers like Klipsch THX or JBL Synthesis or something like that. Bang for the buck. You really don't need a whole heck of a lot of amplification. They're just big, ugly boxes with a big horn on the front. But I'm very sensitive to high frequencies, so Steve from Sound Video, who I bought these from, said, you know what, you're just not going to like that. And I knew he was right. I just wanted to do like a dedicated audio system, theater-like, and do it efficiently. And I decided to just invest the extra money and do some true, two-channel regular speakers, even though the efficiency, bang for the buck, and output, just sheer output, is going to be better from a compression driver, a horn-loaded tweeter. I knew I would prefer dome. In fact, this is on the edge of what I'm willing to do because it is an aluminum dome, where I tend to prefer a soft dome. I just wanted a little bit more edge. In home theater, I've had some higher end. I've had Vienna Acoustics. I've had, I guess my monitor audio was also a metal dome, but I wanted something that had a little bit of extra, harshness, if you will, or liveliness, I should say, not harshness, but I didn't want it to be harsh. And these were a good option. Something like a Martin Logan is a little too thin for me for home theater, or even a ribbon tweeter like Golden Ear or something like that. I'd considered those. But these just fit, and I wanted the big monsters, just give the biggest, whatever the biggest they had, mainly just to look at them. So dual 8s, single 4, and single 1-inch tweeter, and a pretty large cabinet. Again, I'm 6'2", just to give you an idea of the size and scale. I'm 6'2", to 40, and that's how big the speakers are. I actually sealed them with Men's Power Lock and cleaned them up. So those are the two fronts. You can see the bi-amplification wiring. I like to see wires, and actually I'd considered doing really high-end wires just so I could look at them. Cost versus performance, there really isn't much of a difference. So these are Blue Jean cable with spade lock connections, bi-amplified. And then we have the center channel, the Rebel center channel, matching, timber match to the fronts. Generally speaking, you would want the center channel to sound or be as similar of a speaker as possible to the fronts. That's why a lot of THX certified theaters would have the same exact front three. You'd have an LCR, or left, center, right. This is as close as we get with a normal two-channel pair of speakers. So these are magnetic grills that just pop right into place. You really can't put them on incorrectly. And then of course we have our left channel, which matches. Since we're talking Rebel, let's go look at the back speakers. So these are the matching, shoot, that's escaping me the model number, but these are the matching Rebel rears. See if I can get this on without pulling it off the wall. They're obviously not made to come off easily. So here's your grill. So you have bipolar design, or I think they're bipolar, they're not dipolar. I think they're in phase. In order to complete the 7.1 surround, I have the two back surrounds, side surrounds. I did a happy medium. I wanted to make sure, I wasn't exactly sure how high the couch was going to be. So they should be a little bit lower from THX standard. Old school standard, you'd have them much higher. So I did a happy medium. I want to say they're at 5 feet, at the bottom. So let's get this back in place. So these would be timber matched to the rest, having the same tweeter, same driver material. There we go. So here's our back wall configuration with the two back surrounds, two side surrounds. Then overhead we have some Rebel I think they're called C283s, ceiling mount. But these would be our height speakers, height 1 and height 2, height front, height rear, whatever you want to call them, for Dolby Atmos. And it really does work pretty well. It's worth the effort. And so we have our 7-channel traditional, and then our .4 overhead to add height to the room. Leave it to Dolby, though I'm sure it'll be 22.47.2. You know, we'll have 12 subwoofers in the future. And then, of course, my favorite part of the theater is my JTR 4000 ULF. So again, you can see the sheer size of this thing. I had them do it in a zebra wood finish. It's ebony, ebony tinted or ebony whatever finished. And so you don't get a sense for how big the thing is in a wide angle lens on the camera here. But you know, next to the giant Rebel, I mean, this is me. You know, again, 6'2", and the thing is, you know, it's a monster. You know, certainly a subwoofer like this is unnecessary in a room this size. You could get by with much less. I wanted something that was a statement piece. Originally, I wanted a JL Gotham, but the JL Gotham is $15,000, and I just didn't have that in the budget. I didn't set a specific budget, but I had a ballpark. Home theater and electronics have been a big part of what's made me successful. So to be honest with you, this is like my fancy watch. You know, this is my room that I've wanted since I was in high school, and so. I wanted a statement subwoofer. I wanted something to liquefy the room, and this does it. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can't run this, you know, as it's intended. I mean, it would literally. I'm not joking. Like I know I tend to exaggerate, but it would break the window. I mean, the window would shatter. I mean, I'm running it at, you know, somewhere between 2 and 4 clicks out of, say, 30 in the volume scale on this thing. So if I reached X max, if I reached excursion max on this, I think it has almost 3.5 inches of travel on both 18-inch woofers. I mean, we would destroy the room. So I do need to get another JTR sub or 2 in the room to balance the bass, but it's just nitpicking. I can tell, anybody else that's in the room can't tell, but this sucker is awesome. So it's 4,000 watts, plays down to 10 hertz. I have it crossed over at, I want to say 80, and it's super clean. Like, I wouldn't expect a subwoofer with dual 18s to be so clean. I think a lot of it is the headroom that the amplifier has, the digital amplifier that's in the back. I would argue this destroys a JL Gotham that they ask $15,000 for and sell quite regularly, and this is $3,200. And so bang for the buck. I think this thing sounds better. I think it produces more volume. You could get if you don't have a room that's this big or a spot that's big enough for this, you can get the sealed version of this. The reason why this is so big is because of the chamber, the tuning. I wish I could show you that. It's too hard to capture on camera. I do have some demos in this video here that I'll show you, but it's it's pretty amazing, the subwoofer. So we have that, and then we have my old Velodyne. I put the DD15 back here, tucked behind the couch. Naturally, acoustically, the couch shouldn't be on the back wall, so I have it so that we have some room behind to walk. I didn't want theater seating. I wanted a couch like this. Mainly so that I could take my lazy rear end and just lay on it, so I can lay here and watch, and have other people sit on the edges if I wanted to. Last night we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 people in here. I don't ever intend on having any more than that. I'm not eating in here. We're not, we're just watching a movie. So these do recline and sit back, and then I'll usually just take a pillow and put it behind my head and sit like this. I mean, this is my seat if I have the choice. This is a Lazy Boy Devon. I had one of these in my previous house. I think this was like $4,500. because of the micro suede, which is super comfortable. I never ever do any kind of the Scotch Guard stuff that they always pitch you that everybody buys. I'm telling you, it makes the couch feel different. I don't like it. So I don't want any protection on the couch. Kind of like I don't want any protection on my car. Like I don't want paint protection film. I just want to use the couch, and then if it wears out in 12 years, I'll get a new one. But I'm going to take care of it along the way. Luckily, this isn't going to be susceptible to getting spills and stuff like that because I don't eat in here. We don't eat and drink and anything like that. There's no reason to. The kitchen's right over there. I know you guys think I'm nuts, but I just don't want to do that. Let's talk about acoustic treatments. And there have been some comments about how it doesn't look good. This room looks terrible. I think it looks great. It's exactly how I envisioned it looking. It looks like a darn hospital room. It's gray and sterile and very my style with a little bit of black. But what we should have in the front, we should have soffits, but I can't because of the goofy door. So I should have the same thing in the front and rear if it were a perfect world. I decided to do the soffits, the base trap soffits, all the way up to the ceiling, from floor to ceiling. I think the whole acoustic treatment for the entire room was like $3,200, and it transforms the room. It's more important than the speakers. I'm talking to you right now. There's no echo. It's great. I don't feel the need that I need any more on the front wall. So we have what's called our bass traps in the front. I think these are 242s. I have the same thing on the sides on my first reflection points. I'm missing some. There would be a first reflection point up here on the ceiling as well, which I'm not accounting for. That's good enough. And then the bass traps in the corners, and then these are the biggest, thickest. These are called monster bass traps. These also, inside of these, there's a scatter plate. And so these are full range scatter plated monster bass traps. So the idea is that it grabs frequencies once it hits it. So the low frequencies and high frequencies come to your ears. The low frequencies get absorbed once they get past you, but the high frequencies are then diffused or scattered. And so those diffusion panels or scatter plates help to make sure that the room isn't so dead that there's no liveliness to it. You wouldn't want to do that on the front wall, but on the back wall it makes a pretty big difference. So these are all from GIK Acoustics, or I'm sorry, I keep calling it GIK, GIK Acoustics. I would highly recommend them if you're going to do anything, you'd call them. To figure this out, it's really not all that complex. I mean, you could mathematically calculate where the reflection points are, but basically what I do is, notice the speaker. Let me wide angle you here. And so, this speaker here, the first reflection point would be, at a certain angle from the center section. And so essentially what happens is, the sound comes to your ear first, and then you get a 90-degree first reflection. And so that reflection comes to you afterwards and interferes with the next note that you're hearing. And then you have a second reflection, so off of the speaker over there. So the first reflection on that speaker is kind of like where this one is, but then that speaker also has a reflection point from here to my ear. And so you have a first, second, third, fourth reflection points. You can't get them all, otherwise the whole room would be a bunch of those spiky things. But it does make a big difference when you knock out those major reflection points. The ceiling is also an issue, so I have a cloud up on the ceiling that traps the bass, or traps high and low frequencies as well. So notice those two make a big difference. Yes, I do have a fan. I know acoustically that's not the smart thing to do. I really wanted a fan because I like to relax and turn a fan on occasionally, especially summertime here in Florida. It's hot. And so there's your acoustic treatments. Carpeting, I can't remember the name of it, but I have an 8-pound, really high-end pad. So I spent most of the money on the pad, and the carpet's decent, but or good carpeting. I think it was all in. I think it was like $8 a square foot. So you're talking $2,200, $2,300, $2,400 of carpeting in here. But again, I don't wear shoes. It'll last forever. Super comfortable and super absorbent, so it helps make sure I don't have any issues with with reflections and stuff. The door is the biggest problem in this room, and was what cost me so much to do these stupid drapes, which, by the way, I'm in love with. So the window treatments are super quiet. They're amazing. Their Lutron Serena system started out as like $1,200, which was my budget, and then I needed to do, that was just for the base, and then ended up needing to do the door, and then we needed to do the blackouts, and then I needed to do the special batteries, and then needed to upgrade the darn fabric, and it turned into this whole freaking disaster. Clearly I should have done white blackout channels. I don't know what I was thinking there, but it was too late. Notice there is a tiny bit of light bleed through up in the corners. That's in order to be able to pull the battery, because there are a bunch of D-cell batteries out there, lithium D-cell batteries. But they are whisper quiet and just super slick. Now that the money's gone and I'm over it, I was really, really disappointed, really butthurt about the whole thing. It was one of those things where it was like a minute and it just kept going, and it was like 3-4 times my budget, and I just wanted it done, and oh man, I lost many sleepless nights over these darn shades. And so this and the lights are just the Home Depot LEDs, which are junk, but they, I don't have them on very much anyway. The shades are controlled by the Lutron Caseta system, and so we can, turn the lights off, of course, and then operate the shades so they open completely. I still need to mess with the trim a little bit on the LEDs. And certainly higher end LEDs would be a bit more dimmable, but you can see the super quiet operation. They look really good. Completely blacking out the room. I think it's pretty cool. All right, quite a few of the people that have watched the home theater process, the build process, have asked me to do a demo. So I have my Sennheiser mic on. This will be from the vantage point in that I'm going to be sitting behind the camera with my mic on, and so you're going to be getting sort of the same audio, the same position that I'm at, because the mic's on me, so it's a lav mic. But I'm going to play a couple of scenes from Oblivion, which is I think a terrible movie, but the quality, the audio quality, the Atmos quality is better than anything I've heard. And so it's in Dolby Atmos, and then we'll play some old school Top Gun from my buddy Mike, who is a fellow Obsessed Garage guy. He sent me Top Gun the other day, so I'm excited to watch the first scene and then a few of the other fighting scenes here. So I'll play that with you. I'm not a huge fan of this Samsung player. It takes forever to get anything done.
Before the war. New York, before I was born. A place I've only seen pictures of. I know you, but we've never met. I'm with you, but I don't know your name. Make beacon coordinates.
Exactly.
Oh, I saw it. Some sort of vessel.
Jack, mission's almost offline.
I'm en route now. I'm on site.
Jack, I don't have eyes on you. Command's offline.
I think it's one of ours. This thing is ancient. It looks pre-war.
The scabs brought this thing down, Jack.
There's no sign of scabs.
Technician, this is your control.
I'm ordering you to pull out and return to the tower immediately.
Touching down. Stand down! Figure the drones are firing on survivors.
Jack, the tent's offline. I don't have control.
Stand down! Take cover, 1049! Back off, you son of a bitch! Back off!
You know, the sheer violence of this whole thing is just incredible. So let's do a quick Top Gun scene. Just so happens we got 2 Tom Cruise movies. Interesting. Now this isn't Dolby Digital, not Dolby Atmos, but cool nonetheless. Yeah, that's fun. I'm gonna do DTS HD. This makes me happy. Thanks, Mike. I needed this. I needed this movie. are, how old you are. That makes your goosebumps on the top of my head. Fires me up. Anyway, I'm gonna stop the video and come back and watch this. So anyway, that's the home theater. Thought you guys would appreciate that. If you're, if you're 18 and watching this and haven't seen Top Gun in a home theater, you should probably make it happen. So that's it. I'm super pleased with how it came out. It's what I've been envisioning for so long. I know it's not everybody's perfect home theater. It's mine. I'm a rather odd dude, and I get that I want some things that maybe other people wouldn't. But the beauty of it is it's my house and my money, so I guess I get to make that decision. The thing sounds great. It's super fun, to come over here into this part of the house. We usually come over here maybe once a week or something when the kids are sleeping, and just come in here and destroy all. So it's cool. I have made some time to come in here and sit here, when I'm working on something or writing an article or something like that, or editing a video, bring my laptop over and just sit and take time to listen to music. But I didn't think I would do that. So that's why I'm glad I didn't do compression drivers. I actually did some speakers that produce decent sound for music. And it's bulletproof. Anyway, awesome project. I had a blast building it and messing around with it. Now I just get to enjoy it, and I wanted to share it with all of you. I know this is a long video, but there's a lot of thought and a lot of process, brain power that went into building this thing, and hope you enjoyed the process, and on to the next thing. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more crazy. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor.